You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. Brian Kelly, when he after the first day of practice, when he met with reporters, he was asked, as you would expect, about his new policy about reporting injuries. And he was very transparent about it. And this has gotten national news. This was like front page of ESPN.com on the headlines bar and like a lot of different places for a lot of reasons. LSU is a big brand. Brian Kelly is obviously a big brand. And this is sort of part and parcel with sports betting at a time where Iowa and Iowa State players are really under the microscope for allegedly sports betting under pseudonyms to even games they played in. So there's this sort of perfect storm of concoction of a lot of different things mixed together that made this a really relevant story. Here was Brian Kelly, though, on this new injury reporting protocol.
We'll be transparent with injuries. We thought it was important, given the nature of what's going on today out there relative to reporting and gaming, that we wanted to make sure that we were transparent with injuries, not putting any pressure on anybody here to guess who's in, who's out. So we came up with a protocol and procedure that's similar to what the NFL does relative to reporting injuries. So we'll do that twice during the week, so you have a good sense of who's in what state, and then we get to Saturday. If somebody was doubtful, we'll give you available or unavailable. The only caveat would be if somebody gets sick, we'll give you a sickness update as well.
I'd just like to point out that he said similar to what the NFL does. I don't think there's anybody that has ever looked at the NFL's injury report and thought, man, what a massive advantage or disadvantage for a team based on the injury report. So, if anything, I look at this and I applaud it. I applaud the transparency because every coach can handle their program how they want. I'm not here to cast stones about how someone does something relative to someone else. But we obviously saw the antithesis of this, the complete 180 counter of this approach for a long time with Les Miles, who was so secretive because he believed every tiny nuance could be a massive exposed advantage or disadvantage. And as I recall the story, and it's been a long time, but it's been almost 20 years now. So forgive me if I forget some of the details. But Les, when he was at Oklahoma State, had a player, I think had something like a hand injury, and word got out, and then the opponent that week just kept hitting that player on the hand over and over and over again, or wherever the injury was. They kept exploiting the injury because they knew about it. And that's what Les always pointed to. So he's never going to be forthcoming about injuries. Well, now you have this thing where just look at what happened with Brad Bohannon in Alabama baseball, where there was a little morsel of information that was given out about a starting pitcher who was scratched, and it led to a $100,000 bet, and Brad Bohannon's career is over. So I can appreciate saying, let's avoid that. Even as unlikely as that is because of one man's stupidity, let's avoid the possibility of that. Brian Kelly elaborated a bit more on this protocol.
I wanted to be proactive and not reactive. I'm not saying that happened. I'm not saying that it would happen, but I think it's better to be proactive in those situations and take away even the temptation to even have that in this building and not be that next school that goes down that path, right? We talked about, clearly nobody should have, a gaming app on their phone. There are geolocators on your phone for every one of those apps. And so getting those apps off your phone and making sure that there's no geolocators because they know where you are. And there should not be any of those on any of our players' phones or anybody that's in this building. So I think it's just much more about being proactive than reactive than anything else.
I love it. And with respect to sports betting, you could say, well, sports betting is the problem. No, it's not. The problem is people that misuse it or do it when they're not supposed to, which is true with anything in life. There is personal accountability. And when you're a college athlete, if someone has very clearly explained these rules to you and you run afoul of them, that's on you. So, I know Sean Payton talked about bring Sean Payton into the news for something other than what he's been in the news for the last week. But Sean Payton talked about this with respect to the Denver Broncos, because the Broncos have a player suspended for sports betting. It was found out they were sports betting. And Sean Payton looked and said the NFL, the information the NFL provided their players was atrocious. I mean, and they essentially boiled it down in Denver to say, you cannot do this ever. There is no ambiguity. You cannot sports bet on anything and play in the NFL, period. Okay, well, I'm glad Brian Kelly's telling his players, if you have these apps on your phone, get rid of them. You cannot do this, period. So, but I mean, the legal betting age, too, is 21. We say it every day in the disclaimer, 21 and older. Must be physically present in Louisiana. You hear the disclaimer every day. Every player on the team that's under 21 cannot legally sports bet. So, yeah, I mean, it's great that he's having these very clear and transparent conversations with his team. One more, though, because I think this is the one that we were alluding to about the sort of perceived advantage about giving out injury information. Brian Kelly doesn't buy it.
I don't know that I've ever went into a game and go, whoa, we got an upper hand today. I didn't know he was playing, or I did know he was playing. I just think it's overrated. I think you're preparing during the week for what you expect. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that we didn't know a particular quarterback was playing and the other guy. You got to adjust on the fly. So I think it's much ado about nothing. And I think we angst over the littlest things that don't really affect the game. I don't want it to be a situation where it causes something to the point where somebody loses their job or somebody loses eligibility. To me, that's a bigger issue.
Look at what happened last year against Arkansas. We didn't really find out until the morning of the game when LSU played Arkansas that KJ Jefferson was not playing and that they were going to play their backup. And as Brian Kelly said, you adjust on the fly. That's why you prepare for the different scenarios and make too big of a deal out of little things. And that's a dude with 4 decades of head coaching experience. I trust him. So I applaud him. Hopefully, look, the NCAA can't mandate an injury report policy. Conferences can't mandate an injury report policy, similar to like drug testing, which we've talked about for a long time. That is each individual school's right to test for, now outside of performance enhancers, the NCAA can test, but like a marijuana policy. Like that is school to school, how they handle that. It would be the same here with an injury report. But hopefully this is something that sets a standard that other schools will follow. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.